My name is Kara Mack, 19 years old. The Texas night sits on my chest like a wet tarp, heat thick as syrup, the ceiling fan ticking a useless metronome that only stirs the soup of air above my bed. I lie still on faded floral sheets I outgrew years ago, the window cracked to let in a breath of nothing, the smell of hot asphalt and cut grass drifting over the sill. My rucksack is at the foot of the bed, boots aligned, uniform shirts folded with the mechanical neatness that calms my hands when my head won't quiet. Home on leave is supposed to be rest. It feels like guard duty without a shift change. From the hallway, a whisper snakes under the door, muffled, ugly, too amused. Think you're somebody now, little soldier girl? The words have the sloppy slide of beer and the precise edge of resentment. Dylan. The voice I've trained myself to catalog like a threat signature. There's the soft clink of glass against drywall, a smothered laugh, then the stumble scrape of his shoulder brushing the hall table where the ceramic herons sit. I can picture them tilting as if to listen. Every instinct from basic lights up, assess, identify, egress. But there is no clean line here, no sandpit, no whistle, no safety brief. There is just a door with an old brass knob and a lock you can bully if you're strong and mean enough. I keep my breathing slow. Playing dead is a habit that grew here like mold. It used to be the only thing that worked. It doesn't work on men who love the sound of breaking. The knob rattles. Open up! He rattles again, harder. My pulse climbs into my throat. That trapped bird flutter. The thought comes, quick and terrible. I've survived the rope, the wall, the churn of 50 voices screaming cadence. How do I keep surviving this house? I slip my phone from under the pillow, thumb hovering above the screen. If I unlock now, the glow will betray me. I slide it back and push my feet to the floor, bare soles meeting plank wood that remembers where I used to jump rope. Silence. A single beat where hope sticks its head above the trench. Then the crash. The door doesn't open so much as explode, cheap wood erupting into splinters and paint powder. The impact shoves it into the wall with a gunshot sound, shaking the picture frames. The kindergarten drawing of a blue rocket and smiling stick figures, the one Evelyn refused to take down because it made the hallway feel like a story. Dylan fills the doorway, a hulking silhouette haloed by the sickly yellow of the hall light. The stench of beer sweeps the room ahead of him, stale and sour and threaded with gasoline from the mower. He grins without humor. There you are. The screwdriver gleams in his hand. A Phillips head, oil dark at the tip. It catches the little bit of moon that the lace curtain doesn't eat. He steps in, and the room shrinks. My body shifts into that tight, clipped readiness that's half training, half fear. Dylan, I say, keeping my voice level, palms up and away from my body. Walk away. You won't like the paperwork on this. He laughs, one bark, wet at the edges. Paperwork, he mimics, leaning on the first syllable like it offended him. You think rules matter here? He lunges. For a moment, the world arranges itself into angles and arcs. My feet find the floor. I pivot. His momentum drags him past me, bang into the dresser. A snow globe clatters and rolls, glass tapping wood like a heartbeat. I reach for his wrist, thinking leverage, thinking the clean geometry of a C-clamp. But he's heavier than my calculations. Hotter, sloppier, and rage makes people elastic. He jerks free with a roar that hits my skin like heat. The screwdriver flashes again, a quick bright fish in murky water. I backstep into the wall where the Andromeda poster bubbles from old tape. Dead end. He sees the corner and smiles because corners make prey easy. He doesn't go for my face. That would leave a story people might ask about. He aims lower with the casual cruelty of someone who's hurt small things for practice. The strike lands with a sound I will hear in dreams, even when the pain fades. Not the wet rip of a cut, but a dry, obscene crack, a snapped wishbone. White pain detonates behind my eyes, hot and electric. The force of it drives the metal head through skin and muscle and bone, buried to the cross where my clavicle used to be one piece, pinning me to sheetrock with the idiot neatness of a classroom demonstration. I scream. It rips out of me, untrained animal, too loud for the small room, too big for my throat. My vision shrinks at the edges, blurs, then clamps back to a tunneled clarity that makes the dust in the air look like snow. The screwdriver trembles with my breath. The metal hums against bone like a tuning fork. Dylan steps back, chest heaving, eyes astonished, and then delighted. He has made a mark. He has turned a person into a bulletin board. Footsteps, two pairs, rush the hall, and Hope, stupid as a puppy that keeps coming back when you call, runs toward them with its tail up. My father fills half the broken doorway, hair shoved back, tie loose like a man, interrupted during a chore he didn't choose. Behind him, Evelyn, coral lipstick perfect even at 2 a.m., silk robe tied in a bow she practiced in a mirror. I open my mouth, but there is nothing coherent in it, just a prayer shaped like help. Evelyn takes me in with a tilt of her head, as if considering the placement of a centerpiece. Her mouth curves in that small smile that never reaches her eyes. "Oh, Kara," she says, voice syrupy as the tea she makes for guests. "Don't be so dramatic." The words land like cold water. My father exhales, a long, put-upon sigh you give a clogged sink. "Her brother's drunk," he says. Not to me, never to me, but sideways to Evelyn, offering her a bridge back to sleep while I bleed into the wall. She always did love the attention. They laugh. It isn't loud. It's worse because it isn't loud. Two little sounds shared like a secret over a joke, tidy and domestic and practiced. The sound does more damage than the metal. A door closes in my chest that I didn't know was still open. Something that kept trying to be a daughter goes dim. The pain makes a fog. Through it, training crawls forward on its elbows. If you can't stop the bleeding, call in air support. My left hand, the one that isn't lightning, remembers the phone's weight and the pattern of my lock screen like Braille. I send the message we drilled in a different world for different emergencies. 3 letters, SOS. It's not just desperation, it's a vow. It's the pistol shot at the start of a race I never wanted to run. Dylan shifts, swagger returning as the grown-ups tisk and reframe. He smirks at me, the face he wore at 12 when he shoved my science fair board off the table, at 15 when he hummed special under his breath in the kitchen. "Guess those push-ups didn't help much," he says, and my vision sours at the edges, the room pulsing with the bass of my heart. The screwdriver vibrates with each beat. The wall has become an instrument, and I am nailed to it. "Thomas," I whisper, the name wearing grooves in my mouth I didn't know were there. He looks at me, then away. His gaze slides off like oil. Evelyn makes a soft sound of pity, so well rehearsed she could set it to music. "We'll talk in the morning," she says, which is how she puts fires under glass until the smoke looks like fog. "Go to bed, Dylan." His grin falters. He wanted more spectacle, but he's satisfied enough with the trophy stapled to the wall. He lurches back into the hallway, shoulders banging the frame he already wrecked. My father steps aside to let him pass, a doorman in a hotel they paid too much for. Evelyn touches Thomas's forearm, the way she does when she needs him to remember who he is to her. They turn, they go. The house exhales into the silence they prefer. I am alone with the buzzing in the light fixture and the smell of dust and iron. The floor tilts and rights itself, tilts and rights, like a boat I didn't agree to board. I think, ridiculously, about the snow globe that rolled earlier, whether it cracked, whether the glitter inside has started to leach into the carpet where Evelyn will notice and say, "What a shame," with her careful, empty sadness. I think, wildly clear, of Sergeant Ruiz telling us to name what we're fighting so we don't swing at shadows. I am not fighting a screwdriver. I am fighting a story about me that these people wrote without my consent. The phone, heavier now, chiming faintly in my palm with the after-echo of the send. Acknowledgement will come from somewhere that isn't this house. Big breath in. The metal skates bright along the edge of consciousness. My body makes choices without me. Blood pressure dropping its curtain, vision washing white, sound narrowing to a tinny whine. The last thing I see is the doorway where the wood has splintered into sad teeth, and in those teeth I see a mouth closing over a child who kept trying to say please. They'll hear my side, I think. Or maybe I say it, words slipping across my tongue like a promise scribbled in permanent ink. They'll wish they hadn't. The room dims, the fan ticks, the wall holds me like a cross, built on lies. The darkness arrives not like a blow, but like a steady tide that finally covers the ankle, the knee, the rib, the throat. The SOS is gone to wherever signals go when they leave your hands. They thought they'd silence me. All they did was start the war. When I wake, the world smells like bleach and forgetting. The lights are too white, the sheets too tight, the air so clean it feels hostile. A slow, steady beeping anchors me to the here and now. Every pulse on the monitor reminds me, still alive. The ceiling tiles swim in and out of focus. A plastic wristband bites at my skin. Pain throbs under my right shoulder like something caged, pacing. I breathe shallow, afraid that any deep movement will let it loose. For a moment, I think maybe the attack was a fever dream, a grotesque invention my brain stitched together from old fears. Then I try to lift my arm. The fire that shoots through me is proof enough. The screwdriver was real. The laughter was real. And this, the empty hospital room, the absence of visitors, this is real too. I close my eyes and the silence folds backward into another kind of noise. Silverware clinking, football commentators on TV, the smell of turkey and nutmeg, a world that looked warm and ordinary on the outside. Thanksgiving, 4 years earlier. I was 15, sitting at the long dining table under the chandelier. Evelyn insisted made the house look Southern classic. Her coral nails flashed like tiny flags as she carved the turkey, performing domestic grace for an audience that adored her. Dylan had already stolen the drumstick. My father, as always, looked half absorbed in the game humming from the living room. Aunts and cousins crowded around, loud and comfortable, their laughter layered like wallpaper. And there I was, clutching a letter that made my heart drum so hard I thought everyone could see it moving under my sweater. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, embossed with the University of Texas crest. I'd been accepted into their astrophysics summer program, a miracle I'd barely dared to hope for. It wasn't college yet, but it meant I'd been seen, chosen, validated. All the nights spent underlining equations in borrowed textbooks, all the times I'd eaten dinner cold so Dylan could have seconds. This letter made it worth it. I kept it in my pocket all day, the edge of the paper a small secret pressing against my thigh. During dinner, I waited for the perfect moment. When the laughter softened and Evelyn's voice finally paused, I took a breath. "Dad," I said, quiet but steady, sliding the letter across the table. "I got this today." He looked at me. Surprise flickered, then something like pride. He picked up the envelope, unfolded the page, scanned it, and for the first time in years, his smile was real. "Look at this," he said, holding it up. "Evelyn, read this out loud. Let everyone hear what our girl's done." The room tilted in golden light. My cheeks flushed, not from embarrassment, but from pure, dizzy joy. He called me our girl. I thought, foolishly, that maybe things could change. Evelyn took the paper, slipped on her glasses with a theatrical flourish, and cleared her throat. The entire table hushed. Her voice, syrupy and sharp, carried with the precision of someone who enjoys the echo of her own performance. "Oh, everyone, listen to this," she began. "Our Kara has been accepted into the University of Texas summer program for," she paused, smile widening, "for cognitive special support." A laugh escaped someone's throat before they could stop it, then another, and another. A chorus building, thin and cruel. "It's a wonderful opportunity," Evelyn went on, voice dripping with fake compassion. "We must be so proud of her for trying, even with her differences." My father didn't correct her. No one did. I stared at the letter in her hands. The proof of my worth turned into a punchline. "It's for gifted students," I whispered, but my voice cracked in half. No one heard it over the laughter. Dylan slapped the table. "See, told you she was special," he shouted, his grin wide and stupid. Aunt Carol giggled nervously. The sound of a fork hitting a plate echoed too loud. I could smell the gravy cooling, the wax from the candles, the faint perfume of humiliation. Evelyn reached across and patted my hand like I was a child learning manners. "Oh, sweetie," she cooed. "Don't be embarrassed. We love you no matter what." I remember the exact moment my throat burned and my vision blurred. It wasn't the laughter that did it. It was her touch, gentle and absolute, claiming ownership over my pain. I wanted to vanish. Instead, I sat there and swallowed it. When the noise died down, my father folded the letter and set it beside his plate like it was a napkin that had served its purpose. He didn't look at me. He just went back to carving the turkey. as if the moment had been a small inconvenience between courses. I stared at the cranberry sauce until the red bled into the white of the china. A single tear slid down and landed in my mashed potatoes, leaving a crater like a meteor impact. No one noticed. Later, I heard laughter again, muffled through my bedroom door. Downstairs, they were still celebrating. It was almost midnight when I heard a knock, soft, polite. My father's silhouette filled the doorway. I sat up, brushing tears away quickly, thinking maybe, finally, he'd come to apologize. He didn't step inside, he just stood there, arms crossed. "You embarrassed Evelyn tonight," he said, voice flat. "She was just trying to make you feel included. You should go downstairs and apologize to her." The words punched through me harder than Dylan ever could. Apologize. To her, for what she did to me. Something inside me cracked, quietly, invisibly. I stared at him until he shifted, uncomfortable under the weight of my silence. Then I said, "Okay." Because arguing was useless. Because peace was more valuable to him than his daughter's dignity. When he left, I sat in the dark, the letter still folded on my desk. The moonlight made the longhorn crest gleam faintly. It looked like it was mocking me. I picked it up, ran my thumb over the raised ink, then tore it once, twice, until the paper was nothing but confetti of broken hope. Each tear sounded like a tiny goodbye. I dropped the pieces into the trash can and watched them settle among candy wrappers and pencil shavings. It should have felt like release. It felt like burial. Downstairs, laughter erupted again. Dylan's voice rose above the others, slurred with triumph. I pulled the blanket over my head, but the sound crept in anyway. The echo of people who believed they were good, laughing at the one person who wasn't playing along. That was the night I learned that love in this house came with a script. And if you refused to read your lines, you became the villain. Back in the hospital, the memory fades, but the taste of that night still lingers, metallic and bitter, like blood behind the teeth. I stare at the IV line feeding into my arm, a clear thread tethering me to a world I'm not sure I want to return to. My shoulder aches beneath the dressing. The pain is duller now, almost manageable. But the other wound, the one carved years before, with words and laughter, that one throbs under every breath. I realize something, slowly, and with a cold clarity that feels like waking from anesthesia. The screwdriver was just the last blow in a war that started long ago. They didn't destroy me in one night. They built it over years. One lie, one smirk, one "don't be so dramatic" at a time. A nurse walks in, checks the monitors, murmurs something about recovery time. Her voice is soft, neutral, professional. But when she leaves, the silence grows again. Not empty, but purposeful. I listen to the beep, 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 and each one feels like a countdown. When the discharge papers come, I'll have nowhere to go but back. And yet, I know I will go. Not because I'm ready to forgive, but because I need to see the battlefield again. I need to remember where the first wound began if I ever want to end the war. I close my eyes, whisper to the darkness, "They started this." The machine beeps in answer, a steady, patient rhythm. Alive. Still alive. The air at Fort Jackson smells like dust, sweat, and second chances. They say basic training breaks you down before it builds you up, but no one explains what happens when you arrive already broken. When the drill sergeant screams "reset," he's talking about muscle memory. For me, it's about survival instinct. Every morning begins with the same ritual. The trumpet blares, the bunks clatter, and I swing my legs to the floor before my body even remembers it's mine. 5 a.m. feels like a foreign country, one where pain is currency and silence is loyalty. The barracks buzz with the nervous chatter of recruits trying not to fail, but I move through it quiet, focused, invisible. I'm not here to prove myself to anyone. I'm here to erase the sound of Evelyn's laugh. When we run drills, my mind splits in two. One part counts cadence, keeps rhythm. The other part rewinds the tape of every humiliation I've ever swallowed. Dylan's smirk, my father's sigh, the word dramatic repeated like a family anthem. Sergeant Ruiz's voice cuts through the fog like a whip crack. She's 5'8", compact muscle and precision, a woman who doesn't shout to be heard. She shouts to be obeyed. Her eyes find me in the pack, narrow just enough to say she sees the hesitation I hide. I run faster, not because she demands it, but because I can't stand being seen. The obstacle course is a theater of humiliation, mud, wire, the metallic taste of exhaustion. The rope climb is my personal demon. Every attempt ends the same way. Halfway up, hands raw, boots slipping, ghosts whispering. Too slow. Too weak. She'll never make it. The voices sound like family, but they live in my head now. Ruiz watches from below, arms folded, expression unreadable. When I slide down again, she doesn't yell. That's worse. She just tilts her head and says, "What are you fighting up there, Mack? The rope or something else?" I don't answer. How do you explain that the enemy isn't gravity? It's memory. That night, lights out feels like a punishment. The barracks go dark, but my mind doesn't. I dream of the house, the sound of glass breaking, the smell of gasoline, the way Evelyn's voice could turn pity into poison. When I wake, my pillowcase is damp. No one asks. No one ever does. Weeks blur into one long bruise of discipline. March, push, climb, fail, repeat. But somewhere between repetition and rage, I start to notice things. The way Ruiz's commands are never cruel, just calibrated. The way she watches the quiet ones more closely, as if she knows we're the ones carrying invisible weights. During weapons cleaning, she kneels beside me without warning. "Your problem isn't your arms," she says. "It's your head. You're trying to win 2 wars at once." Her gaze is steady, patient. She taps a finger against her temple. "You can't climb a rope if you're still fighting ghosts." Something in me flinches. She doesn't know my story. Not yet. But her words hit like truth. I swallow hard and nod. Ruiz doesn't need more. She stands, slaps my shoulder lightly, and walks away. Figure out who the real enemy is, Private. That night, I sit alone in the mess hall after everyone's gone. The fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting long shadows on metal tables. There's an old vending machine in the corner with a bent coin return. I buy a bottle of water just to hear the sound, the thunk of it falling into place. Control, predictable cause and effect, something my family never gave me. On weekends, we're allowed an hour in the base library. It's quiet there, the only quiet that doesn't feel dangerous. I wander the aisles until a title catches my eye. Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. The word daring feels foreign in my mouth, like hope spoken aloud. I sit on the floor between shelves and start to read. The first line stops me. Vulnerability is not weakness. I stare at it for a long time, longer than I should. I've spent my life treating vulnerability like a disease, something to cure, something to hide. Evelyn taught me that tears were manipulation. My father taught me that silence kept the peace. Dylan taught me that power came from who could hurt first. But this book says the opposite, that courage and openness are the same thing, that shame only survives in silence. For the first time, I feel something loosen in my chest. It's small, fragile, but it's a beginning. A week later, the final obstacle test looms. The rope waits again. Thick, rough, impossible. My palms sweat before I even touch it. The ghosts start early. You'll fail again. You always do. But another voice rises, quieter, stubborn. Ruiz's. Figure out who the real enemy is. I grip the rope. One pull, then another. My arms burn, but I don't stop. Each motion becomes a rejection of every word they ever used to define me. You'll never measure up. Pull. You're too much. Pull. Don't be so dramatic. Pull. The world narrows to breath, friction, heartbeat. By the time my hand closes over the top beam, I can't even hear the voices anymore. Only silence. The clean kind. When I slide back down, covered in sweat and mud, my feet hit the ground solid. My platoon cheers. Ruiz doesn't smile, but she nods. A small, deliberate gesture that feels like a medal. Later, she finds me by the bleachers as the sun sinks, sky bleeding orange into gray. She hands me a cold bottle of water. No words at first, just shared quiet. Then, Friday night, my place. I make chili. Bring an appetite, not excuses. I blink, caught off guard. It's the first invitation I've had that doesn't sound like a setup. I manage a shaky, "Yes, Sergeant." Her apartment smells like cinnamon and clean laundry. The German shepherd by the couch, Gunnar, sizes me up, then leans against my leg with the weight of trust. Ruiz moves around her small kitchen, stirring the pot, humming off key to an old country song. The normalcy of it almost breaks me. We eat in silence, that doesn't hurt. Halfway through, she looks up and asks, "You ever keep a log, Mac?" I shake my head. She wipes her hands and pulls a small black notebook from the drawer, slides it across the table. "Start one, not for feelings, for facts. Date, time, who said what, who did what. You turn pain into data. That's how you win wars you can't shoot your way out of." The notebook feels heavier than its size allows. I flip it open, blank pages staring back like open sky. "Data is ammunition," she says. "Don't go into battle without it." I don't fully understand yet, but something in me clicks. Not in my bones this time, in my mind. A soldier needs strategy, and for the first time, I have one. When I walk back to the barracks that night, the ghosts are quieter. Not gone, but retreating. They know I'm changing the rules. The moon hangs low over the base, silver light washing the gravel path. I stop for a moment, breathing it in. The smell of iron and grass, the faint hum of distant engines. A reminder that the world is bigger than the house I came from, that I can build something new. Back in my bunk, I open the notebook. On the first page, I write just 3 words. Identify the enemy. Home looks the same, but it smells different. Bleach and lilac, the kind of artificial clean Evelyn sprays to erase tension. The front porch still creaks under my boots, but the welcome mat, "Family is forever," feels like mockery. The house isn't greeting me. It's studying me, waiting to see which version of me I brought back. Evelyn answers the door with a smile so wide it could cut glass. "Kara, look at you, a real soldier now." Her tone is half admiration, half warning. She hugs me like a performer leaning into a camera flash, hands patting my back just long enough to look maternal. The air around her smells of expensive lotion and manipulation. "Good to see you, Mom," I lie, because soldiers adapt to hostile environments, and right now, she's the terrain. Thomas lingers behind her, in the same chair he's always used, the same half-drained whiskey glass beside his hand. He lifts it toward me in a vague salute. "Good to have you home, kiddo." No eye contact. Just that dull, faraway politeness that hides a man's relief at having someone else to blame. For the first 2 days, everything is polite. Dinner is roasted chicken and strained silence. Evelyn insists on saying grace, even though she only remembers God when it serves optics. Dylan avoids me completely, which is almost peaceful. But the air hums with something unsaid, a static charge that builds with every polite smile. On the 3rd night, there's a soft knock at my door. I know it's her before she speaks. "Sweetheart," Evelyn whispers, stepping into my room in her silk nightgown, eyes shining with practiced sorrow. "It's about your father. He's not well." I keep my voice even. "What kind of not well?" She sighs delicately, the kind of sigh designed to evoke sympathy. "The doctor says it's depression. Since you left, he's been distant, losing weight, not sleeping." Her voice cracks perfectly on the last word. She looks away as if embarrassed to be vulnerable. "He needs therapy, dear. Real therapy. It's expensive, but it could save him. We've just had trouble affording it with Dylan's situation." The bait dangles between us like perfume. Her eyes flicker to the framed military photo on my dresser. She's not talking about healing. She's talking about money. I remember Ruiz's voice. "Data is ammunition." So I nod, slow and cautious. "I'll think about it." The next morning, I wait until they're gone. The house is quiet, sunlight falling across polished wood floors. I slip into my father's study, a room I was forbidden to enter as a child. The door creaks like it remembers me. Dust coats everything except the whiskey tumbler on the desk. Inside the top drawer, I find no medical paperwork, no doctor's notes, just a folder filled with casino debt notices. L'Auberge Casino, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Dylan's name printed over and over, each balance larger than the last. Beneath them, a final mortgage warning stamped in red. Final notice. My father isn't depressed. He's drowning. And Evelyn's plan is to pull me under with him. I take photos of everything. Every envelope, every balance, every date. Ruiz's notebook is open on my lap, pages filling with facts, not feelings. When I close the drawer, my pulse is steady. I'm not the scared kid anymore. I'm a soldier with evidence. That evening, Evelyn finds me in the kitchen. Her tone is lighter now, casual, almost conspiratorial. "So," she says, Have you thought about helping your father? I glance up from my coffee. I was in his study today. The words land like a blade tip first. Her smile freezes, eyes narrowing. Excuse me? I saw the letters from the casino, I say evenly, and the mortgage notice. You lied to me. Her face changes instantly. The mask drops, and something colder, sharper stares out. So what? She hisses. He's your brother. You have a responsibility. He's not my brother. Her eyes glitter. You think that uniform makes you better than us? She steps closer, voice low and venomous. Don't you forget who raised you, Kara. You owe this family everything. You'll regret being ungrateful. I meet her gaze and don't blink. Maybe, but I'll regret nothing as much as staying silent. I walk out. My phone records every word. Evidence, clean and admissible. When I play it back later, her voice sounds even uglier out of context. Brittle, desperate, human. The next few days are a siege. Dylan's petty vengeance starts small. The last of the milk poured out before I can use it. My phone charger gone missing. My coffee mug cracked clean in half. He's trying to break me one inconvenience at a time. I record it all. Time, date, pattern. Then one afternoon, I open my closet and find the one thing that mattered to me most, my dress uniform, missing. I tear through the room, every drawer, every hanger, until I find it crumpled in a ball in Dylan's closet, grease smeared across the fabric. My metal's bent, the brass buttons dulled with grime. I don't scream. I don't even swear. I take a photo, then another. Each click of the camera feels like loading a round. By the time I leave his room, my hands are steady, but my mind is cold, mechanical. I know what's coming next. Escalation. And he delivers it perfectly. The evening is still, the heat sitting thick over the yard. I've just come back from a run when I see Dylan by the garage, pacing with a beer can in one hand and a smirk in the other. He steps into my path, blocking the back door. You're not going to give me the money, huh? No. Fine, he says. Then I'll take something else of yours. He storms inside before I can react. I chase him through the hallway, his laughter bouncing off the walls like a taunt. He goes straight to my room, rips open my closet, grabs my Class A uniform. The good one. The one I replaced after he ruined the first. Dylan, don't. But he's already out the back door, dragging the garment bag behind him. The sun hits the metals like mockery. Thomas and Evelyn step onto the patio, drawn by the noise. Neither moves to stop him. They just watch. Hey, everybody, Dylan shouts, voice booming across the fence line. Come see the little soldier girl in her clown suit. He throws the uniform to the grass, grabs the red gas can from beside the mower. The smell hits me before my brain catches up. Dad, I scream, do something. He doesn't even look at me. Let him be, Kara, he says, voice tired, detached. It's just a set of clothes. Just a set of clothes. As if the hours, the discipline, the bruises, all of it, could be dismissed as fabric. As if my worth could burn without consequence. Dylan strikes a match. The world ignites. The fire blooms fast, a living creature devouring blue cloth and gold trim. The ribbons curl, melt, dissolve into black smoke. The heat hits my face, dry and searing. I stop screaming. Something else takes over. Calm, deep, final. The panic drains out like water from a cracked glass. What's left is steel. Thomas grips my arm to stop me from moving closer. I turn my head slowly, meeting his eyes. Let me go. He hesitates. Something in my voice, the stillness, the command, makes him flinch. He releases me. I walk toward the fire. Dylan's grin falters. Evelyn's smile collapses. The flames dance in my reflection, small infernos caught in my pupils. This is the last time, I say quietly. The absolute last time any of you will touch what's mine. I look straight at Dylan, then Evelyn, then Thomas. The war you wanted, you've got it. I turn and walk away. Inside, the smell of smoke follows me like a ghost. In my room, I pull out my phone. My fingers don't shake as I type. Need to talk. Urgent. The reply comes within minutes. Acknowledged. Ruiz's word, clean and efficient, glowing on the screen. I stare at it for a long moment. The fear I've carried for years has nowhere left to hide. It's hardened into resolve. This isn't home anymore. It's a battlefield. And I finally know which side I'm on. By morning, the smell of smoke is gone, but its ghost clings to the curtains. The backyard looks peaceful again, as if last night's fire was a rumor the sunrise refused to believe. Thomas is already gone when I come downstairs. Evelyn sits at the counter in her robe, sipping coffee and flipping through a magazine like nothing happened. When she glances up, her eyes flash amusement, not shame. She thinks she won. She doesn't notice the small black notebook on the table beside my phone, Ruiz's notebook, open to a page covered in neat handwriting and dates. Every insult, every lie, every photo, documented. Data, ammunition. By 9 a.m., I'm in my car, driving toward Austin. The heat ripples off the asphalt like a mirage, but my mind is ice cold. Ruiz's voice had been steady over the phone the night before. Don't act alone, Mack. Report and regroup. There's someone I want you to meet. His office is small, tucked between a dentist and an insurance agency, but the sign on the door carries weight. Warrior's Aegis. Legal advocacy for veterans. Inside, the air smells like leather and ink. Behind a wooden desk sits a man with sharp eyes and steady posture. David Chen, former JAG prosecutor. He stands to shake my hand, grip firm, deliberate. Sergeant Ruiz told me you'd come. He gestures to the chair across from him. I sit, spine straight, training instinctively kicking in. Show me what you have, he says. One by one, I lay out the evidence. Photos of Dylan's threats, of the burned uniform, of the casino letters. The recording of Evelyn's voice, venom wrapped in silk. Chen listens without interruption. Every so often, he nods, jaw tightening. When I finish, he takes off his glasses and exhales. This isn't a family dispute, he says. It's a campaign of financial and emotional abuse, and now, physical assault. He leans back, steepling his fingers. They think you're cornered. We're going to make them believe they've won. Then we'll flip the field. His plan unfolds like a mission briefing. I play the dutiful soldier, taking mental notes. You'll call them, he says. You'll apologize. Say you want to make things right. Offer to sign over part of the property equity to cover Dylan's debt. They'll jump at it. He pauses, eyes sharp. But the signing doesn't happen at their bank. It happens here, in this office, on our terms. I hesitate. They'll know something's off. No, Chen says, almost smiling. Because greed blinds people faster than hate. He slides a business card across the desk. Call them today. Make them believe you're theirs again. That night, I sit in my parked car, engine off, phone glowing in my hand. The neighborhood around me hums with sprinkler systems and distant dogs, but inside the car, everything feels suspended. I scroll to Evelyn's contact, my thumb hovering over her name. The memory of her voice, don't be so dramatic, echoes through my skull. I inhale once, steady. Exhale. Then dial. She answers on the second ring. Kara? That voice, sugar laced with curiosity. I let my breath hitch, inject just enough tremor into my tone. Mom, I've been thinking. You were right. Families should stick together. A long pause, then a soft, triumphant chuckle. Oh, honey, I knew you'd come around. I talked to a legal advisor, I continue, careful to use Chen's phrasing. He said I can sign the paperwork to help Dad with Dylan's debts, but it needs to happen in his office in Austin. Just a formality. Of course, she says quickly. Whatever you need. The relief in her voice is almost giddy. She doesn't ask why a lawyer is involved. She doesn't ask about the uniform or the fire. All she hears is the promise of money. When I hang up, the silence in the car feels sacred. A stillness I haven't earned yet, but soon will. The day of the meeting, Austin wears its usual mask. Bright skies, calm wind, no hint of storms brewing. But my reflection in the window says otherwise. I've chosen my uniform carefully. Not armor, not costume, a declaration. At Chen's office, everything is prepared. Conference table polished to a mirror finish. Documents stacked neatly in a folder labeled Property Adjustment Agreement. A small camera disguised as a pen sits beside it. By the window, a retired police officer, Mr. Miller, my old neighbor, waits quietly, his presence disguised as casual conversation. And in the corner, a uniformed Austin police officer leans against the wall, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Chen glances at his watch. They'll be here any minute, he says. You ready, Private? I nod. More than ready. When the door opens, Evelyn glides in first. Coral lipstick, pearls, the same perfume she wore at the Thanksgiving massacre. Thomas follows, face drawn, trying to look dignified. Dylan brings up the rear, loud, careless, smirking like he already cashed the check. Evelyn's eyes soften on me. that counterfeit warmth returning. "My darling girl," she says, touching my arm. "I'm so proud of you." The contact makes my skin crawl. I glance at Chen, who remains perfectly calm. "Please, have a seat," he says smoothly. "Let's finalize this agreement." They sit. Evelyn's fingers twitch with barely contained greed. Thomas adjusts his tie like he's in church. Dylan sprawls back, chewing gum, bored already. Chen opens the folder, sliding the top document across the table. "This agreement transfers Ms. Mack's portion of the home equity to your family to resolve outstanding financial matters," he explains. He waits just long enough for their faces to relax, to believe they're safe. "Before we sign, though," he adds, tone shifting to something sharper, "we'll need to review the supporting documentation." He picks up a remote. The screen on the wall flickers to life. First image, my Class A uniform, burned and blackened in the grass. Evelyn inhales sharply. Thomas looks confused. Dylan laughs, short and dismissive. "Oh, come on. That was a joke." Chen clicks again. The next slide, casino debt notices, Dylan's name bold at the top. His grin falters. Click. A screenshot of bank transfers from my account. Loan repayments labeled in Evelyn's handwriting. Click. The audio recording plays. Evelyn's voice fills the room, syrup turned acid. "You think that uniform makes you better than us? Don't forget who raised you. You'll regret being ungrateful." The silence that follows is surgical. Then Chen speaks, calm and lethal. "Under Texas's one-party consent law, this recording is admissible. You threatened a U.S. service member while attempting financial coercion. That's not just immoral, it's criminal." Evelyn's composure fractures. "That recording was illegal. You can't—" "Actually, I can," Chen interrupts, "and I did." Dylan slams his hand on the table, jumping to his feet. "You bitch! You set us up!" The officer in the corner moves, hand resting on her holster. "Sit down," she says, voice level. He freezes, then drops back into his chair, shaking with impotent rage. Chen nods toward the man by the window. "This is Mr. Miller, your former neighbor. He's prepared to testify. He witnessed the incident where the uniform was burned. He saw Dylan pour the gasoline. He heard you laughing." Thomas's face drains of color. Evelyn's hands tremble. Dylan mutters something under his breath, eyes darting like a cornered animal. Chen slides a new document across the table, just 2 pages. "You have a choice," he says, tone clipped. Option 1. I walk this entire file to the district attorney's office. Assault, arson, fraud, conspiracy. You will all likely serve time. Option 2. You sign this agreement, relinquish all claims to the house, vacate within 30 days, and sign a legally binding no-contact order. No one speaks. The clock ticks. Somewhere outside, traffic hums, life moving forward without them. Finally, Evelyn reaches for the pen. Her signature trembles, but it lands. Thomas follows, his shoulders collapsing inward. Dylan hesitates until the officer steps forward. He signs. The room exhales. Chen gathers the papers, checks them, then looks up. "Congratulations, Private. The house is yours." For the first time in years, the words yours and house mean the same thing. I stand, salute him instinctively, then catch myself and smile. He nods once, approval, respect, closure. When I step outside, the sky is blindingly blue. The air feels cleaner than it has in years. I inhale deeply, and it tastes like freedom. They started this war, but I finished it. 31 days later, I stand in the doorway of the house that once held my silence. The moving truck is gone. The rooms are hollow, stripped of furniture and noise, just empty echoes where control used to live. Dust motes drift like ghosts in the afternoon sun. They took everything they could, but not the walls, not the air, not me. The keys are heavy in my hand. When I turn the lock, the click sounds like punctuation at the end of a war report. The quiet that follows isn't peaceful. It's stunned, like the house itself can't believe it survived. I walk through slowly. Every step echoes on bare wood. The living room still smells faintly of Evelyn's perfume, lilac and arrogance. The walls wear pale rectangles where family photos once hung, every frame carefully removed, every smile gone. It's as if they were trying to erase proof I ever existed. But some stains don't come out, no matter how many times you repaint. In the kitchen, the cabinets hang open, half empty. A single mug sits on the counter, chipped at the rim. Mine. I rinse it, pour water, and sit on the floor. The silence presses against my ears until it almost hums. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like the ceasefire after a battle where nobody really wins. I think about what Ruiz said before I came back here. Winning isn't about who falls. It's about who stands after the smoke clears. So I breathe, slow and deep, and let the air move through me like a test I finally passed. Upstairs, my old room waits. The wallpaper is faded, the floral pattern barely visible under the scars of time. My hand finds the wall beside the doorframe, the spot where Dylan's screwdriver left its mark. A small crater, permanent. I trace it with my fingertip, the way you might touch a gravestone. Once, that mark was pain. Now, it's proof. I sit on the edge of the bed frame, the same one I slept on as a teenager. It creaks like it remembers every sleepless night. There's no hatred left in me, only clarity. On the desk lies a blank sheet of paper. I smooth it out, uncap a pen, and write the letter I never thought I'd write. Dad, I think I spent my whole life chasing one thing, your approval. I kept believing that if I were smart enough, disciplined enough, good enough, you'd finally see me. But the night I needed you the most, the smile you gave was for them. You chose comfort over courage, silence over me. I'm not writing this for an apology. I'm writing because forgiveness isn't for the guilty. It's for the free. And I intend to be free. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. Goodbye, Dad. I fold it once, slide it onto the counter, and leave it there. No envelope, no expectation. It's not a message for him. It's a release for me. That night, the phone buzzes with a voicemail notification. The number is familiar. I let it play on speaker, standing in the kitchen with the lights off. His voice is cracked, hesitant. Kara, I got your letter. I'm sorry. I was weak. I was afraid of losing everything. Evelyn, she just had so much control. I never meant to hurt you. Please, just give me one more chance to make things right. His words dissolve into static halfway through. When the message ends, I stare at the screen until it times out. Then I hit delete, no hesitation. The phone's soft chime feels like the final nail sealing a coffin I've already walked away from. Freedom isn't loud. It's the quiet decision to stop waiting for someone else's redemption. A week later, a truck pulls into the driveway. Ruiz hops out, sunglasses on, a grin playing at the corner of her mouth. Two of my platoon friends, Jenkins and Harper, follow behind her carrying paint rollers and boxes of tools. Thought you could use some reinforcements, Private, she says. For the first time in years, laughter fills the house, not the cruel, rehearsed kind. Real laughter. Warm, unguarded. We paint until our arms ache, cover the walls in new colors that smell like beginnings. We patch the holes, fill the scars, but we leave one untouched, the mark by the door. Some history deserves to be remembered. By sunset, the house hums with new life. Music plays low from a Bluetooth speaker. Pizza boxes scatter across the counter. Ruiz raises her beer. To reclamation, she says. To freedom, I answer. We clink bottles, and I swear the walls echo it back. Over the next weeks, I rebuild room by room. Dylan's old bedroom becomes a small home gym. Weights, a treadmill, a mirror where I can watch myself grow stronger. My father's study transforms into a library, filled with books I choose. The smell of new paper replaces the old scent of whiskey. I even hang my military diploma above the desk, not as pride, but as proof I survived what tried to unmake me. Rebuilding the house is like rebuilding my body after injury. Slow, precise, sacred. Every coat of paint feels like reclaiming oxygen. Every nail hammered is a heartbeat. Every light turned on is defiance. Years pass quietly. The house changes again. Plants in the window, framed photos of people who earned their place. The air smells like coffee and fresh wood polish, not tension. And on most mornings, when sunlight filters through the blinds, I still see the faint outline of that scar on my shoulder in the mirror. It's pale now, silver against my skin, but it catches the light like a medal. For a long time, I thought it was a mark of shame. Now I understand. It's my scar of honor. Not awarded, but earned. Proof of endurance, of the moment pain turned to power. I wear it when I speak, because I do speak now, at bases, at shelters, at conferences. David Chen and I co-founded a program called Operation Open Eyes, Advocacy for soldiers living through the kind of invisible battles that don't leave official scars. Ruiz runs the training division. I handle outreach. When I stand on a stage and look out at rows of young recruits, I see faces that remind me of my own reflection years ago. Eager, scared, hopeful. I touch the scar on my shoulder the way some people touch a cross before prayer. Then I tell them the truth. They tried to pin me to a wall, I say, voice steady. They tried to define me by their anger, their lies, their violence, but all they did was set me free. The room always goes still. Even the air listens. Real strength, I tell them, isn't about never breaking. It's about what you build after you've been broken. And healing, real healing, isn't forgetting what happened. It's learning to live louder than the memory. Every year, on the anniversary of my grandfather's death, I drive south to Corpus Christi. The road stretches straight and open, sky melting into horizon. Ruiz comes with me, no questions asked. We walk the shoreline at dawn, the water warm and shallow around our feet. She doesn't speak. She doesn't have to. My grandfather used to tell me, find a shell strong enough to survive the waves, and you'll understand strength. I used to think he meant I should look for it. Now I know. I was it all along. I kneel, pick up a piece of smooth, broken shell, and hold it against the rising light. The tide rolls in and out, whispering like a voice I've carried my whole life. I look out across the horizon and smile. I'm still fighting, Grandpa, I whisper, and I'm winning. The wind catches the words, carries them away. I let it. Because they don't belong to the past anymore. They belong to the living. I stand, shoulders squared, the ocean gleaming like a medal at my feet. And for the first time since the night I sent that SOS, I know exactly who I am. Not a victim, not a survivor. A soldier. A woman rebuilt from fire and forgiveness. A voice that won't be quiet again. The waves crash behind me as I turn to go. Sunlight spills over my scar, turning it gold. I smile, because some wars end not with surrender, but with peace. And this one finally has.